I love how they grow in habitat. I love like they just don't look cool in a pot
Sure.
the way they look cool like hanging from rock cliffs. And I've seen gardens that try to emulate that to a greater or lesser extent, but it's just one of those things like nature does it best. The other thing that I love about the Dudleyas is I'm surprised by like where I find them. If you look at like the center of distribution for the Dudleyas, it's basically San Diego County down to the tip of Baja, north to like the very southern border of Oregon, mostly coastally distributed. And then there's some oddball ones that occur like deeper into the desert. The desert ones always surprise me because it's like harsh desert. And then if there's a boulder or a rock crevice in the right place that creates shade most of the day, there might be a Dudleya and then like a fern sticking out of it. And you're like, how is this soft succulent and this fern growing in such like a harsh desert?
I see them growing out of the rocks here in Topanga Canyon, and I see them growing. I saw them in Big Sur this past weekend, but I'm not super familiar. I don't understand. Are they mostly in inorganic medium?
Yeah, I think
They're
the
just
Topanga
growing straight
Canyon
out of
ones.
rocks.
Yeah, the Topanga Canyon ones, you might be seeing Simosa, which is like the canyon Dudleya, and
Uh-huh.
it usually grows on like vertical rock faces.
Yeah,
Um,
straight up
you
cliffs.
know, so yes and no, and that's another thing that's really cool about it. And you don't see these in like cultivated specimens, although I'm sure people do try. It's just difficult to succeed. So there's this stuff called spike moss, Selaginella. It's a big genus, and it looks like moss. It's actually a vascular plant, but during the dry season, it goes like very, very dormant, kind of crusty dry. But it
Mm,
kind of has the properties of like soil or peat moss in that it
mm,
creates like a little nursery for little seedlings to germinate on.
cool.
And so when you see like Dudleyas and how they're actually able to grow, it's like seeds dropping into these little pads of moss-like medium that grow in the same places that Dudleyas grow that provides like a little nursery for them. And there's other like cacti do it too. So like we've seen like Canicarias cacti and Mammillaria cacti in habitat. But the spike mosses are actually really, really crucial for growing Dudleys. And so like when the big fire burned down a big portion of like the Dudleya viridii population, it
Uh-huh.
basically wiped out like 90% of the population. Then when they were doing research, they started actually culturing like spike moss onto the medium and then sowing seeds in that and having way higher success and germination rate so that they could then plant them back out in the wild.